Friends, good morning. I'm here today on Tuesday at the Ascension Genesis Hospital here in Blanc, and I wanted to come and share this space with you as I talk about a story from Scripture that you're probably familiar with, and it pops up in a couple of the Gospels, and that is the story of the friends who carried the paralyzed man on a mat, on a carpet, on a rug, whatever it may have been. They take him to where Jesus is, and they lower him through the roof of the house where Jesus can finally see him and offer healing to this man who is in need of healing. There's so much wonderful things that go on in that story, and one of the things I think is often overlooked is the idea of the friends, and not just who they were, but what they were doing. I think about how the friends probably had plans for that day. They probably had something they were wanting to do that day, but they gave it up, or at least they put those plans aside for the sake of a friend, or maybe even a stranger, someone they didn't fully know, and maybe they saw cry out for help and needing help, and so they offered themselves. They offered their time. They offered maybe even a sacrifice of what they had planned to care for someone else. With the Genesis Hospital behind me, we're reminded of all those who answer a call into the medical field to care for others. In these past few months, we've been praying for those who are giving of themselves to help find healing and wholeness for those suffering from COVID-19, but also from a plethora of other illnesses and ailments, some that are more acute, but also some that are more chronic. Some that lead to healing, but also some that inevitably end with death. And it's an immense calling, and something that we don't take lightly, but we also want to celebrate and give thanks for. And so we give thanks for those doctors, nurses, staff, techs, all of those involved in this process of healing and wholeness. We give thanks that they've answered a call into the health care and into that ministry, that whether they call it ministry or not, it is. And so I thank you for your continued prayers for all those in the health field, and we continue to lift up those prayers. But I want to think a little bit about those friends, and as I said, their sense of what was going on in their life. What were they missing out on? What were they giving up to care for someone else? Because ultimately Jesus says it is their faith, it is their trust that Jesus could heal him that ultimately leads to his being healed. It wasn't something that the man had done. It wasn't his willingness to be brought there. It was their willingness to bring him there, to give of themselves to care for someone else. It's interesting that today and in these last few months during the COVID-19 crisis, we've been given the opportunity to give of ourselves to help care for others. And when we do that faithfully, what we find is that we draw closer to one another, and we actually begin to understand what is happening in this gospel story. And so I encourage you to take time today to think about what it is that you can do and what you are doing already to give of yourself. Maybe in little ways like wearing a mask or giving social distance to others. Maybe it's following the one-way lines in the grocery store. Or maybe it's something bigger, like answering a call into healthcare, being with someone and caring for someone who's struggling, going shopping for someone who can't go out or they don't feel comfortable and safe going out. What is it that you can do to give of yourself during this time that we might bring healing and wholeness to others? And so my prayer this morning for you is that you will find a way to give of yourself like those who carried this man to Jesus on his mat. And remember that God will meet you there. Take care.